So here's a little video tour of what our new property looks like. We have a large driveway. The people before us here were landscapers, so they had the equipment and the trucks to make a lot of paved roads. So we have a lot of paved roads. They also landscaped the front to provide a privacy screen, so it's not edible at all. Everything is ornamental, but we have beautiful old pine trees here, and this is facing a major road. And here's the house. So as I walk up here, we don't own this part of the property, we just own the driveway and to the left. And we have a tool shed. There's a lot of potential here to do many things, many edible things. I'm carrying my broom, but also a lot of potential to just relax and enjoy nature a little bit more. The kids have never been outdoors as much as now. Every day they found an old go-kart and they go down a hill there. We've put our compost bin here. We have another one we haven't quite dragged over yet. We're moved but not unpacked. This tool shed has everything, has all our moving boxes. And we are now collapsing our moving boxes and removing the tape on them to make lasagna garden beds. So this is the entrance to the kitchen. And this is the kitchen garden that I've created just recently, and Dave's added on to. Some strawberries, some basil that I transplanted from pots, some tulsi, some onions that were in the scallions that were in my fridge. So you can see the little microclimate, all the cold weather things. I have a little random broccoli in the back there. Onions are going to be in the back. Lettuces, stumps of lettuces are being placed in the back. And all the warm weather things here where there's not past the shadow of the house. So now I'm going to walk towards, this is a GIY member's turmeric waiting for pickup here in this pot. This is an old pear tree that was here and we just harvested pears from it. Very sweet, had them for breakfast. We've transferred our banana, that was our Christmas tree last year, to the front of this little tool shed. So I've given a tour of the tool shed before. The garden shed, that is. The tool shed's the other shed. But this one's a log cabin that I swept out, and we're just putting our gardening tools here. It's really quaint potting stuff. Some other flowers. Over here is a persimmon tree, what we believe is a persimmon tree, and the beginnings of our fruit garden, of our production vegetable garden. So these will be the annual, mostly annuals, peppered in with our perennials permaculture garden. Yesterday we staked out the contour lines and found where the water would drain, and then we're trying to match the garden beds to those contour lines. Not always possible if you want aesthetics as well, but that's why it's a little bit, it's not the fence.
It's not perfectly on contour because the beams are 8 feet long.
Yes, it's
and
not.
There's a little, what did you call it, key point?
Key point, yes.
Right here where it dog legs a little bit before it evens out. So all we did was kind of draw it at an average through the points, so that we're trying to make the curve at least look natural. So it's roughly on contour.
So
Not perfectly.
there was an old garden here with some of the wood still, and this actual line that you see here is on contour. You see it's not quite the same contour as here.
So this is roughly about 2,000, maybe 1,800
1,800 square feet of growing area right now with this fence in place.
We'd like to convert this into about 12 20-foot raised beds.
12 20-foot raised beds.
So we're trying to get a total about 1,000 square feet. So if you think about your space, you can kind of always estimate that 50% of that you're going to need for access.
Access means the walking paths, and so we would like a cross path here and a path coming from wherever the opening will be.
Or
So
storage or special.
or storage, yes, the compost. The fences, we're grateful for them, but we're not happy with how they look, of course. So this is not definitive.
This area is a bit small. For our purposes, I think we want annual vegetable production to be about 3 times the size, so around 6,000 square feet. So we'll have to figure out where on the property we're going to put that. But so imagine that our final size for this is probably going to be 3 times this size. Where we put it, we're still trying to figure that out.
Yes.
So we
Today,
have enough soil. When you're trying to build the bed, the first thing we've placed our edging. This is really just edging just to keep the soil from eroding and running down the hill. It's not very formal. We might replace this with stone or something a little more final once we have a better idea. This is our first bed. We've placed it a little further away from the fence because probably we're going to move the fence in a little bit. We haven't decided yet exactly, but this gives us a little bit of flexibility. The first thing we did was this was full of knee-high weeds of all kinds, so I went in here and weed whacked everything down to the ground. But you don't need to dig out the weeds because all you're going to do then is spread the weed seed.
mm-hmm.
So what we recommend when you're lasagna gardening is you just get it to a manageable height, and then you're going to suppress the weeds with the cardboard. So take all your old boxes, unwrap the boxes, make sure you've removed some of the tape and things like that are not going to break down or might have some preservative chemicals. And then you're layering over this bed. This bed is 20 feet. Sorry, let me get the...
We have had soil delivered here on the property. We use the soil for the beds around the house, closest to the house. But the main intention is to fill up as many of the garden beds as we can here.
So this is a 4 foot by 20 feet. Make sure that when you're designing your beds, you give enough room that you can reach anywhere in the bed from one of the sides, because if your bed is 6 foot wide, for example, then you're going to have trouble reaching the center. You'll never plant anything in the center. So think about, especially for annual vegetables, making sure that it's not too wide. So this is 4 by 20, which is 80 feet. So the first thing you do, if you have compost scraps and you have rodents, then you probably want to put the compost underneath your cardboard. But if you don't really have a lot of critters, then normally you'd put your compost on top of the cardboard. So what you're trying to do is flatten the cardboard, and then you want to make sure that you're layering your entire bed. Ideally, you want to double layer it because you're trying to suppress the weeds from coming back. The cardboard will break down over time. It takes about 3 months for the cardboard to break down. You see how I kind of overlap?
Overlap 6 inches or more if you have a lot of cardboard.
So we just moved to this property, so we have an infinite amount of cardboard boxes. So it's ideal for us to do lasagna gardening now. But at some later point, it might not be so ideal. So you use what you have.
All right. I'm going to pause at this 10-minute mark. But that's a little bit of an intro, and we'll finish up the lasagna garden bed in a different video.